You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, certified life coach Michelle Bourque. In today's episode, we're discussing the neuroscience of career transitions, why you're more ready than you think. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. I'm so happy to be back here live with you. And if you're new, welcome. I'm so happy that you found us. Today, I want to talk about something that has been showing up in a really personal way for me lately. And I think if you're in any kind of transition in your career, your life, your identity, this is going to land. We are going to get a little bit nerdy in the best of ways, of course, because I do love that part of it, as well as the woo. But the neuroscience here is actually why big change can feel so disorienting. So I think it's important to discuss, even when you know that it's right. And more importantly, there's neuroscience behind why you are more prepared than you think. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. There's been a lot happening in my world, and if you follow us on the socials, you may know that after 2 decades in medical device sales, Mark and I are relocating to Florida. I have left Medtronic. We bought a home in Boynton Beach. We're getting it set up. We're prepping for the New York home to get sold, coordinating estate sales and movers and, all of it. And then we're also bouncing between the 2 states in the interim. And here's what's wild. In the middle of all of it, the design decisions, the logistics, the hundreds of moving pieces, right? I just kept noticing I wasn't actually scrambling. I was coordinating, problem solving, connecting the right people to the right situations, asking the right questions, and then it hit me. These are the exact same skills that I've been building for 20 years in medical device sales. Like, I've walked into hospitals, navigated complex stakeholder dynamics, managed territories, built relationships from scratch, figured out how to move things forward when nothing was quite certain. And now that's what I'm doing here as we are making the move, just with contractors and real estate agents and, paint colors. Paint colors might be the most challenging for me, instead of surgical suites and physicians. Tucker, by the way, is thriving. He now has the entire back seat to himself of the car. And if you know, once those equipment boxes are out, it's like a free world. Nothing threatening to topple him at every stop sign or quick adjustment that I make, right? He's just living his best life. Honestly, same. But back to the point, because there is a reason that this felt manageable even when it was a lot. And people have been saying, why did you make the decision? Or I'm so jealous. Or what are you going to do? It's just knowing that we're going to figure it out, right? I talk so much here about courage and curiosity. That is what we all need to do. You are already prepared. And it's not just experience that you have, right? It is actually how your brain is wired. And here's what I want to teach you today. Neural transfer. Your brain is constantly building what neuroscientists call neural pathways, essentially grooves in your brain that form every time you repeat a skill, a thought pattern, or even a behavior. And the more you repeat something, the more automatic it becomes. This is why experienced reps can read a room in 30 seconds, why you can drive a familiar route while thinking about something completely different. You know those drives, right? When you all of a sudden arrive and you're like, how did I get here? The brain doesn't need to work hard at things it already has mastered. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and really relevant to you. Those neural pathways don't just disappear when your circumstances change. They transfer. Neuroscientists call this far transfer. When a skill or competency built in one context gets applied to a new, often very different context, the brain recognizes the underlying pattern even when the surface looks completely different. So the relationship building skills that you used to earn trust with a resistant surgeon, those are the same neural circuits that help you build rapport with maybe new clients or a new neighbor in a new city. And the ability to manage the ambiguity and tough sales quarters, same neural architecture that you need to navigate a business pivot or a cross-country move. The resilience that you built hitting a wall and figuring out how to get back up, that is not stored in your sales career. That is stored in you. But here's the catch. And this is the piece that I really want you to hear. Your brain also has something called a negativity bias. It's wired to notice threat, to scan for what's wrong, to resist the unfamiliar, and this is a survival mechanism. It kept our ancestors alive, but it also means that when you step into something new, your brain is going to kick up a lot of noise. It is going to tell you that you're not ready, that you don't have enough experience, that you're missing something. And if you believe that story, if you let that noise run the show, you will miss the evidence of everything that you've already built. The practice is learning to distinguish between your brain doing its job and your brain telling you the truth, because they are not always the same thing. And I want to bring in an example here that I think is going to hit a little bit differently, maybe depending on where you are in your career. I was talking with a mentor of mine not that long ago, someone who has coached a lot of women through career transitions, and she made a point that I really have never forgotten. She was talking specifically about a woman who wanted to move from an individual contributor role into leadership or management. And one of the big things that always comes up is the question that stops most people cold in the interview process. Why should we consider you for a management role when you don't have direct management experience? And her answer was so good. She said, you actually do have management experience. You just haven't been calling it that. Think about it. If you are in medical device sales, you manage your territory. You manage a schedule, a budget, a set number that you're accountable to hitting. You manage relationships across accounts simultaneously. You make strategic decisions every single day about where to invest your time and energy for the greatest return. You prioritize. You delegate. Maybe not necessarily people, but tasks, resources, attention, and beyond the territory. Maybe you have even led an employee resource group, a women's employee resource group, a diversity council, a volunteer initiative inside your company. You recruited people. You built programming. You influenced without authority. You created something from nothing on top of your already full plate. That is leadership. That is management. The title just wasn't there. And the reason people don't bring those examples into interviews is not because they don't have the experience. It's because their brain hasn't been given permission to connect the dots. They are so locked into the label of quote unquote individual contributor that they literally cannot see the evidence of leadership that is sitting right in front of them. That is a negativity bias at work. That is the brain filtering out what doesn't match the story that you have already decided is true. And the invitation, whether you're going for a management role, launching a business, or just stepping into a new version of yourself, is to give your brain new instructions, to start asking, where have I already done this? Because I promise you, the evidence is there. You just have to train your brain to see it. I even see this at the entry level when people are interviewing. I always tell them in advance, think about all of the things that you've done, whether it be in college, in a team sport, in a volunteer activity. All of that counts as experience towards the interview. And I will tell you, I get this. I get the idea of keeping things separately. I have lived it myself. And I want to kind of be honest, because I do think it matters. For a long time, I kept my coaching work completely separate from my Medtronic career. Not just professionally separate. It was almost secretive. There was Medtronic Michelle, and then there was Coach Michelle. And these two people were really probably not supposed to be in the room at the same time. And part of that was practical. I was navigating a corporate environment and being thoughtful about how I showed up. But if I'm really honest, a lot of it was that I hadn't given myself permission to see how connected they actually were. I had the story that said, you're a medical device sales rep, that is your lane, stay in it. But the skills that I build over the past 20 years, connecting with people, navigating hard conversations, managing performance, understanding what makes someone tick and how to help them move forward, those were the exact same skills that would make me a better coach. And the coaching work, the mindset tools, the frameworks, the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture, that made me a better sales professional. They were never actually separate. My brain just hadn't been shown that yet. And once I started making that connection, once I started sharing the coaching work more openly and stopped treating it like something that I had to hide, everything changed. Not just in my business, but in how I showed up in both spaces because I wasn't compartmentalizing anymore. I was finally just me. And of course, that happened through the help of a coach. And that's why I will give a quick little plug. It is so important to have someone be able to show you what your brain is thinking, to be able to challenge you on the limiting stories that you have, to be able to offer you new possibilities. Because when you're able to see greater expansion, greater possibility, greater capacity to have, that's when life changes. And that's what happens when you stop trying to keep your chapters separate and start trusting that all of it belongs to you. And I want to touch on something a little different because I know some of you are going to relate to this, and then some of you are just going to think I have completely lost my mind, but both are welcome here. The truth is, in the middle of all of this transition, I've been noticing synchronicities also. Turtles specifically, which some of you might know are connected to my dad. It was one of his nicknames. So I had a turtle show up in one of my morning card pulls as we were heading to Florida. On the same day, there were 2 turtles crossing the road on our way to the airport. And then once we sit down at the gate, a stranger across the way from me is wearing a turtle necklace. And I am always thinking that Dad is supporting and helping us. And this is just an opportunity to be open to see the signs that I am on the right path. Now, you might think it's a little woo, but that's okay. Because here's what I want you to know. What's happening in your brain when you notice things like that? There is this system called the reticular activating system, the RAS, and its job is to filter the world for what you have told it matters. It is very similar to when you buy a new car and then suddenly you see that car everywhere. The cars were always there. Your brain just wasn't looking for them. And when you're in the state of openness, of curiosity, of expectation that things are working in your favor, guess what? Your brain starts collecting evidence of that and you start seeing support everywhere. It's not just magical thinking. That is neuroscience meeting intention, and it is available to all of us. And here's what I want to leave you with today. Growth is not about becoming someone new. It's about trusting that everything you've already built is enough to support what's next. Your skills transfer. You are ready for the promotion. You already have every box checked. You just have to be open to finding where it exists. Your resilience transfers. Your capacity to figure it out, that transfers too. And your job is not to wait until you feel ready. Ready is a decision. Your job is to start giving your brain new instructions so it can start finding the evidence that you already are. And I want to ask you something before we close out this episode. What is one skill from a previous chapter of your life that's showing up in your current one? And maybe more importantly, do you even give yourself credit for it? Sit with that. Now, if this resonated with you, I want to stay connected. We are in a really exciting building phase right now with the business. New things are coming in the best of way, and I want you to be the first to know. The way to do that is to get on the email list. And every week I am sharing, practical tools, some real talk, and the kind of perspective that helps you perform better and maybe more importantly, feel better doing it. So go to michelleburkecoaching.com/newsletter. You will see all of the parts of it behind the scenes, the move, the transition, the redesigning of the business, the new offers. There's so much happening. And listen, if this episode hit home, please share it with a woman in your life who is in the middle of her own transition because she needs to hear that her brain is already more ready than she thinks. We all need to remember that. All right, that's what I have for you today. Let's meet back next week. But for now, lead your life with intention because it's your time. Make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.